Hello lovely people, welcome to my channel. It's Hila here, Saturday Night Stitch, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video is a belated browse through of the October 2023 issue of Burda Style, which was dispatched quite late by my subscription service. But as the saying goes, it's better late than never. So we've got the line drawings here, and for today's flowers I just have some very simple roses that I actually bought, and these flowers have been displayed on my table. I don't have as many flowers currently in the garden at the moment, but yeah, wherever you are in the world, I'm sending you this lovely pink ombre roses, which are just really lovely and light and pink and match with everything. So there we go. We've got the line drawings. So as I said, this issue, it came late. My subscription service was running behind with it, and I had to call them up and chase them up, and it didn't actually get dispatched until about 4 days ago. So I've had this for 4 days, and so we're going to have a look at some of the stuff that's in here. There's quite a few repeats. One of the things I saw I have already made before, so that kind of ticks a box for me. So first of all, we've got this really fuzzy style hoodie with a zipper. Now, I have cushions that are furry, that have got like fur on them. And I can most tell you that long fur like this with zippers, it's a big no-no. They just don't work well together, because each time you try and zip up, that will get stuck in. So I just didn't think that this was a good choice of fabric for this particular style. Yes, you get the statement look, but this is the sort of top that you really don't get as much wear out of. Okay, and then we have over here just a simple basic sweater top with raglan sleeves and some gathering here on the raglan sleeve to create, I guess, enhanced shoulders, which is great if you want to make your shoulders look perhaps bigger. For somebody broad-shouldered like me, this is not necessarily necessary. I prefer the clean look without the gathering over there. But that's just a personal thing. And then we've got a simple, easy drop shoulder sweater with a stand collar. Yeah, so quite baggy. So really zoning in on that style at the moment of these oversized clothes. Love the trousers though. Love the trousers on this particular styling. And then here we've just got a simple wrap over style skirt, very similar to one that we saw in the previous month, except for it had a different color panel over here. So yeah, nothing much to say or to add on to that one. And then over here we have a autumn fall type dress, which we've seen before, where we've got a little stand collar over there, some shaping with the bust dots, and you've got the back waist dots and some shoulder dots over here, and you've got a band. Now personally, I'm not a big fan of these bands here, because they remove the ability for you to use a belt necessarily, unless if it falls exactly on your natural waist. And I find with me that I tend to have to lengthen them. So I did make a Burda dress once that had a band over here, and it sort of turned me off making anything that's got a narrow band. It's okay, I think, when the band is thicker and you can make more of a design element out of it. But in terms of design lines, looking at it over here, what's the difference between having a narrow band here versus just having one waistline? I don't think that there's that much of a difference personally. Not a big fan of the styling. I don't think you need to wear wide leg trousers underneath a dress. The dress is plenty long enough for you not to need to add a trousers underneath it. So I don't know what was going on there. Okay, and then we've got a vest over here. It's been made in a two-piece set. I would rather think that the skirt was more interesting because of the detail at the waist with the hip yoke pockets over here. Not a big fan of the curved edge here with the tiny little slit vent that you get there. I don't like it. For the life of me, I can't explain why, but I just don't like it. However, I do like this detail over there. Would have loved to see this in a contrasting fabric, which just adds a little bit of interest at the waist. And then we've got another oversized jacket, and they've called it a pea jacket, which is basically half a pea coat, because normally pea coats, they go longer and tend to go below the waist. Decent collar, and Burda are definitely using the checks, so apparently check tartans, no, not tartans, checks are actually coming back on trend in autumn, which, you know, for me, I don't think checks should ever go out of fashion. They're really lovely and fabulous. And then we've got a simple style dress, which we've seen before in the form of a top, whereby you've got what looks like an epaulet with some gatherings, a v-neck, slight shaping at the bust over here with the long sleeves and the cuffs. So yeah, just a bog standard sort of dress over here, styled nicely with a roll neck top underneath, and it's got pockets showing you how easy it would be to wear. So could make a great autumn uniform type of thing. Okay, and then this top here, I've actually made this. This was in a January 2017 issue, I think, and I made it in a viscose, but I made it in the dress format. So it has the gathering over here and this lovely little funnel neck collar. I was going through a funnel neck collar phase, and whilst the dress was quite lovely, it wasn't wearable for me in autumn on account of the fact that I made it in a viscose, and it doesn't work quite well because I always had to layer a lot of things underneath it, and viscose looks quite unnatural in autumn or winter here in England unless it's a thicker sort of viscose, and I used like the really thin rayon challis. But yeah, so technically speaking, I could say I've made something from this issue because they've used a repeat pattern that I have sewn with before. And then we've got scrap fabric from that fuzzy thingy in order for you to make a Kerry poncho or Kerry hand warmer. Just go with some classic gloves. Just make some really nice gloves or buy some leather gloves. Okay, so the statement piece is very gothic, very Victoriana, with this lace insert blouse over here. And so I see this as something that advanced seamstresses might want to test their skills by using lace inserts, because those are quite challenging. I've tried them once, and yeah, I've never thought to try them again. Otherwise, in terms of the bare bones of the design itself, so it's very simple and straightforward. You've got the V-neck, and it's quite a deep V neck over here, and you've got some pin tucks on the sleeves, and obviously the drama is around the sleeve area here. So this is where it would be good. Oh, and they're also doing the net curtains over your eyes. It looks so cool, actually. And then we've got a sheer blouse top with playing around with texture, because you've got the sheer section over here, and then you have the solid section over there. So this blouse is actually much longer than this styling would indicate, and we can see it a lot better on here. The styling, I think that it hasn't worked very well for this, because they've used a satin skirt, bias cut skirt, which is just as flimsy and filmy as the sheer fabric on here, and I think it doesn't quite work, because then you've got the hard edge of these steampunk style boots, and there's nothing else to balance them out, nothing else for them to catch on to. Yes, this is black, but it's a black filmy romantic. I just felt like this didn't really bring out the top in its best. Like if they done this with a leather skirt, I think that would have worked really quite well. The girls' dress I'm not a big fan of, because these are Victorian style night dresses. Yeah, when I showed this to my girls and I was like, oh girls, what do you think about this? And they just both said, not our style, mommy. And yeah, so there we go. This dress caught my eye because, of course, it's a dress and I love dresses, and I'm trying to wean myself off of making statement dresses all the time and try and build up on my basics. But that's another story. But yeah, dress number 103. I was quite excited when I saw it in the first look before you get the line drawings. But then when I got the line drawings, I just thought, this to me is so unnecessary to create this particular silhouette here. This silhouette is achievable in so much easier ways. So yeah, I think that for me, currently chasing simplicity, I see something like this and I think it is unnecessary. Cute styling though. I think styling wise, it works really quite nicely with the brooch over there. And then we've got an interesting take on a shirt. The sleeve head creates some interest by having not quite the curved arm's eye that we're used to, but it's a bit angular, so creating a little bit of geometric feel, which you can kind of see with the pinstripe fabric that they have used here. So quite nice. So this is if you're feeling a little bit bored with the standard button up and you just want to add something to your wardrobe that's just a little bit exciting, and then you can have this. So here, right, I feel like this is a great example of how they've done the textures correctly. This shirt has used a really nice crisp cotton fabric, but quite a lightweight one as well, because it's got a certain light airiness to it, which is complemented by the dainty little bow on here. And then the skirt has got some leather detail, and it's layered because you've got a lace style fabric over something else, and that sort of really balances it out beautifully, unlike what we have over here. There's just no balance because everything is just too foofy, so to speak, which doesn't make it as attractive. And consequently, if you're a seamstress and you're looking at some of these things, sometimes it takes a huge effort to go beyond what they're presenting us in order to try and see if it will work or not. So I do think that the styling for a sewing magazine, how they present the patterns to us, is just as important as the design lines as well. Okay, and then we've got that vest again, and here it's really trying to showcase this cute little pocket detail, of which for me, the only thing I would take from this is just this cute little pocket detail. I would be tracing off this pattern, and the next time that I have to make something that has a welt pocket, I'll do that. I think it's just a nice little touch of whimsy onto something that is otherwise quite traditional and quite tailored. So we have that Victorian style dress again, but this time it's just been cut short into a top. I think it works better as a top. And I think that's a better look. And then we just have the cutest winter coat. And I seem to have lost the line drawing for it, but it's a really cute winter coat. And its size is 110 to 134. Love the fabric. Love the whole look of this particular top. And there we are with the patterns in the middle. And whew. So I'm currently doing a We're in Burda series where I'm looking at magazines from about 10 plus years ago. And I can tell you that those magazines back then, they didn't have this much space between them. So there's definitely been a change in how many patterns you get with each issue over the last decades. But yeah, moving on, we have these trousers with this interesting oversized faux belt over it. Now, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. I really struggle to think if there's even a body shape or type that these would look best on, because even on here, it just doesn't look that great, particularly where they sit. And then you've got the added, there's just so much noise around the waist area, and noise that doesn't actually make that much sense. But yeah, I wasn't a very big fan of this. I'd be curious to see what people will make with this, and perhaps I am wrong, and it may turn out to be something quite outstanding. And we have a cute little kid's blazer over here, nice and cropped. A lot of work to make, and hopefully your kids won't be going through a growth spurt, and after you spend all that time making it, and then they're out of it in 2 months. And then we have a dress. Again, I was quite excited about this dress because I like the drama of the sleeves here. It's like these really gigantic sleeves, really lovely. And they've used 2 different fabrics, played around with textures. And I do think that this is quite lovely. I like the neat trim neckline over here. It's just a very clean line on the neckline, which then is a great contrast to how incredibly voluminous this fabric is. What have they used? They've used viscose. So to me, viscose would be too lightweight for this. I would use a tencel. So tencel has got a nice heavy drape to it, and it's really soft to the touch. And I think you'd be able to wear that in fall. But yeah, love. The only thing I would change personally is I wouldn't be adding this band here. So we've got the same problem of having a band on here. Just have a waist seam, and then that's fine. It also makes it easier to adjust for any pattern alterations. We have the blazer. Blazers seem to just be showing up almost every single issue. The one difference with this one is that the pocket has gotten downward pointing arrows, right? And on the pinstripe on there, you can kind of see them forming this triangular issue. Personally, I think that this is too boxy for me and too sharp. It very much reminds me of the suits in the 1980s, late 80s that my father used to wear. And there's a tutorial on how to line a waistcoat. So the blouse with the lace inserts is the featured sewing pattern. And then we also have the vintage pattern in this one is the hazardous singing in the rain raincoat. I mean, I do not know why they chose yellow and black for this. Of all the colors, this is radioactive yellow and black. And even when I saw the first look, for the life of me, I just thought of all the colors in the world, of all the fabrics that were available, why this one? Because I just saw it and it just reminded me of, you know, the hazard sign because of the yellow and the black. But actually, hang on, I want to show you something. So the style of this got me thinking about, so I've got this book about Audrey Hepburn, and she was in this movie called Funny Face with Fred Astaire, who was also in Singing in the Rain. And there's this cape over here, and it was made by Givenchy, who basically designed for and dressed Audrey Hepburn her entire career. But you can see how lovely this looks. I saw this and I thought to myself, oh, I would love to have a cape because it's made in sumptuous silk. Not that many of us could afford to make a cape like this in silk, but I just thought that when I saw this, could have done a better job of selling the pattern by not using this particular fabric. It just doesn't really catch my eye. Anyway, little rant over. We move on to the section called the Boho Deluxe, and it starts off with this quilted jacket over here, which has a trim on there to just add a little bit of visual interest. I prefer my jackets to either be structured or to have hoodies on them. Personally, I don't think it goes with the styling that they have used on here. I always thought that these power suits were always meant to just be worn solo, not to be worn under a statement coat. Okay, we've got a variation on that Victoriana style blouse. So instead of going in with a cuffing, it's been let out to just float around as you're doing stuff, getting into your coffee when you're trying to stir it or to add sugar to it. Yeah, you can tell I'm not a big fan of impractical sleeve ends. Pin tuck details are quite cute, but lost in the beautiful pattern of the fabric over there. We have the pencil skirt showing up again, but this time they got rid of those narky little curved vents at the side, which, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, would eventually just curl away. You know how after a while interfaced fabric that has been washed and ironed eventually sort of curls away, unless if you're doing dry cleaning. And I don't think that they would have looked that great. But this pencil skirt, yeah, it's a pencil skirt. It works. It's lovely. It's a classic silhouette for a reason. And then we've got a I want to say biker style jacket, but it's been made in a quilted fabric, but it's got these flanges over here just to add more vavavoom to the shoulders over here. So it just adds a lot more structure to the shoulders. And then we have a wrap dress. I'm sure I've seen this before. This particular style that has the faux wrap at the front over here, and then you've got the tucks at the sleeves, and it's been made in a paisley print here, which looks quite nice. It's a statement statement jacket over it. It's another featured sewing lesson as well. And then we've got some trousers, which these trousers I like so much better than the first trousers that we saw that had the visual noise at the waistband. So it's got this little detail here. I would be skipping this, personally speaking. I don't like visual noise around the waist area. I just like the waist area to be nice and clean and trim, you know. So yeah, I'd be getting, it's interesting to see that these are side opening ones. I'm curious to see what people are going to do with these ones. So I quite like these ones as well because they do fit the soft gamine principles, although the waist maybe could be a little bit higher, but that's an easy fix. But they taper down to the ankle. Okay, the shirt dress is more like a half shirt dress because it's got a half placket over here. And you've got some welt pockets. There is a little bit of shaping provided by... There's a Dior dot over there with a princess seam, although it is quite a loose and voluminous one. And looking at the pictures, it's very hard to see where the shaping actually comes in on this particular design because it does look like it's just drapey and flowy on it. I think it does look nice with the coat over it. So I think it could work well for an autumn winter uniform. And then we've got a top. The dress now has been made into a top with that sort of yoke detail, the shoulder yoke detail coming over here, tiny little cuffing detail over there, and it's quite voluminous over here. Colors are very bohemian, aren't they? And then we have here this corset dress, which I've seen before. I think the first time I saw it was in a March 2018 issue, the wedding issue. Remember when Burda used to make the March issue always about wedding dresses and wedding guest dresses? And this was a wedding guest dress. And I remember because I traced this pattern out. I actually believed at one point that this was a style that I could carry off. But I just liked the idea of it. But what really got me about this one is if you look at it, right? This is supposed to mimic a corset, so you're going to need a lot of structure in there in order to maintain this, since it's strapless, right? But they didn't seem to do that because there's a lot of folds, there's a lot of icky stuff going around here where it's supposed to be nicely snatched around the body. So I wasn't too impressed. Normally the samples that are sewn up are really quite good and quite inspiring, because that's also another thing that I like to be inspired to do, to take my level of sewing to, you know, to the next stage effectively. And inspiration comes from looking at these issues, looking at how the designs are styled. I mean, that's part of the joy of collecting Burda magazines. That's why I enjoy collecting them. So that's what we have here, lovelies. That's Burda 10 2023. Thank you so much for staying and watching until the end. If you have, I really do appreciate you. Now, I know we're already nearly halfway through the month. Have you made anything from this issue yet? I'm not too sure that I'm going to be making anything. There is the trousers that have piqued my interest, and I would like to see what the Burda community does with those before I can even begin to think of committing to making anything like that just yet. So let me know in the comments down below, are you going to be making anything from this issue? Have you made anything from this issue? Are there any gems that I have missed out? Until I see you next time, lovely people, happy sewing. Bye.